And the Vermont Senate is pushing the envelope where genetically modified food is concerned. It passed a bill on Wednesday that would make it the first U.S. state to enact mandatory labeling of foods made with genetically modified organisms known as GMOs. And it would make it illegal to describe any food product containing a GMO as natural or all natural. The bill, approved by the Senate 28-2, has already passed the State House of Representatives, but it's now got to go back to the House for approval of changes made in the Senate. If passed, the law would take effect in July 1st of 2016. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, there are GMO labeling bills under consideration in 29 states. But whether they have a chance of being passed is anyone's guess. It's a high-stakes food fight. Back in 2012, ballot measures in California and Washington state were narrowly defeated. Among the opposition, Monsanto, the world's largest seed company, and the Grocery Manufacturers Association, an industry group representing packaged foods, which include huge amounts of GMOs, canola, soybeans, and corn. For more on what the labeling law could mean for the future of GMO foods in the U.S., I was joined by Stacey Malcon earlier, who works on California's Right to Know campaign, advocating to label GMOs in the state. First asked her why the labeling law is needed in Vermont.
Well, this is a huge victory in Vermont, and it's really the culmination of a grassroots movement across the country that's been really going on for 20 years, but has been building intensely in the last few years, like you said, since 2012 when we ran the ballot initiative in California. This is information that consumers want to have. Over 90% of people consistently say in poll after poll that they want GMOs to be labeled in the U.S. like they already are in 64 other countries, but we haven't been able to get labels here because of huge money, dirty campaigns by Monsanto and the pesticide companies that are desperate to keep this information off food labels. So Vermont is really a huge breakthrough, and I think it's really the beginning of the crack in the dam that's going to result in simple information going to consumers that we want about the food that we're eating.
Well, the two bills in California and one in Washington back in 2012 were narrowly defeated. If Vermont goes through, could we then see a cascade of these bills being enacted into state law?
Absolutely. I think that's already happening. I think California was the start of it. We ran a ballot initiative here, also in Washington state. The opposition spent over $70 million trying to defeat those bills, and they just barely defeated them. So those were votes of the people. In Vermont, this is a vote of the legislature, and many other states are trying to get bills through the legislatures. Every state, huge support. Like I said, we're running a bill here in California. And I think we'll also see some more ballot initiatives this year. It looks like Oregon and also possibly Colorado will take a vote to the people. The movement is just not going to let up. People want to know about GMOs and the food we're eating. We have a right to know what we're eating and make those choices for ourselves. And I think this movement for labeling is unstoppable.
Well, last week, a bill was introduced in Congress that would attempt to nullify any state law that requires GMO labeling. This is largely backed by a lot of grocery manufacturers, as you probably know. Will states be able to overcome national legislation backed by such industry powerhouses?
Well, that is such a cynical and truly outrageous ploy that they're trying in Washington, D.C. They did get a sponsor for that bill, but there is no way they're going to get that bill through the House and Senate. There are strong champions in Washington, D.C. for GMO labeling, many senators who are committed fully to getting labeling of GMOs. And so I think they're going to try in every way they can. That particular bill would make it illegal for states to pass labeling laws, which is outrageous. I would also do other outrageous things like allow them to call GMOs natural, which they obviously are not. The Vermont law that is very close to passing looks like they will also be making that illegal to call GMOs natural. So, you know, it's a truly important time for this fight right now because they're pushing hard in D.C. They're spending so much money in every state that's trying to pass labeling, but we're seeing the people's movement is prevailing. I don't think they can win in D.C., and I don't think they can win much longer at the state level. People want to know what's in their food, and I think that we'll win this.
Well, let's now turn to the world's fastest growing corn market, China. Over the past few months, the country's been refusing shipments of the U.S. crop when any genetic modification has been detected in the shipments. Some are questioning China's motives, whether it's political or not. But the truth is, China and Europe, big trading partners for us, they don't want these GMO products. Do you think refusing exports that comes at such a huge price to the farmers, do you think these market forces could drive U.S. ag companies to change their tune?
Oh, absolutely. I think farmers are very nervous. They're seeing what's happening in China. Russia also doesn't want GMO exports. France just banned the cultivation of GMOs. Mexico, too. I mean, there is a global movement away from GMOs with many other countries, as I said, either labeling or banning them. And we've already seen this play out with the wheat market. $8 billion in U.S. wheat exports were put at risk when genetically modified wheat turned up in Oregon a couple years ago. And it's not even legal to grow, but it shows how out of control GMOs can get. The genes get into the system and you can't predict where they're going to go and end up. I think a lot of farmers are nervous about that. They're nervous about organic farms getting contaminated by GMOs. That's becoming a big problem. So I'm starting to hear a lot from farmers, from ag interests, saying that farmers are moving away from GMOs, that the demand for conventional seeds is growing faster right now than they can fill it. So I think we're seeing a huge shift that's coming from many areas: market pressure, consumer demand, and also the food companies are starting to get nervous about having GMOs in their food, and some of the big brands are starting to move away from them too.
All right, environmental health advocate Stacey Malkin, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.